Hey everybody, Ryan here. Alright, gonna be going over how the standings are looking so far. Alright, so this one happened yesterday, I didn't even realize. But Toronto, in the Scotia North Division, this is where our standings are. We have Toronto in first with 19 points, they're 9-2-1. They have a plus 12 difference. They actually are really doing well right now, and I think Toronto fans are pretty excited. I didn't even realize they had passed Montreal at this point, honestly. But they passed them by 1 point because Montreal is second with 18 points, followed by Winnipeg with 15 points. And then Edmonton currently has that last playoff spot at 6-7 with 12 points. They are technically tied with Vancouver, but because Edmonton has played 2 less games, they have the advantage. Vancouver is 6-9 with a minus 11 difference. And the last 2 games against Toronto has not helped that difference at all. Actually, that's probably where most of that difference comes from, honestly. So, Vancouver has scored 49 goals, 60 goals against. Where you look at Toronto, who has scored less goals, actually, at 45 goals for, but 33 against. And that's a team that supposedly needs defensive help, quote unquote. So, and if you listen to Toronto fans, then they have the worst goaltender in the world in Anderson. Yet, they actually don't look that bad in the goals against. They're tied for they are in 4th worst team in goals against 7, which actually is not bad. Isn't that great, but they've allowed 2 more goals than Montreal and Calgary. And they've allowed 1 more goal than Winnipeg. And they played 1 more game than Winnipeg, 1 more game than Calgary. They played the same amount as Montreal, though. And it's a 2-goal difference. Not that bad. I mean, the best differential is a plus 17 for Montreal, who their biggest disadvantage against Toronto at this point is the 1 less win and 1 more overtime loss, which is the 1 point difference right now. So, those two are pretty even. They'll probably be the top 2 teams in this division, and it'll be between all these others. I mean, right now, Calgary's sitting at 5-5-1, a 500 win percentage. Or point percentage, they call it now. I'm sorry, it used to be win percentage. Vancouver 6-9, 15 games in. They are 6-9. That is not good. 400 point percentage. The worst in this, or second worst in this division. Ottawa, who is dead last with 5 points. 2-9-1, 208 save percentage. Their differential minus 24. Definitely the worst team of the division. Honestly, I think their fate should be better than what they have. Because, I mean, honestly, their games have seemed closer in that, other than that drubbing by Edmonton 8-5. That was pretty bad. But they still scored 5 goals in that game. Which, that means they had 23 goals outside of that 1 game. Which, honestly, they score more goals than I bet you Anaheim has at this point. But anyways, this division is probably going to be the hardest to pick. And I still believe that. At this point, I would pick between Toronto and Montreal as the best. Winnipeg's done really good too. I mean, they have a 1-game difference between them and Montreal and Toronto. We'll see how that works out, but they still have a 3 and 4 point separation between them. They have 1 more regulation loss, but 1 less loss than Montreal and 2 less than Toronto. They have 1 less overtime loss than Montreal, but the same amount as Toronto, where they've only scored 39 goals, but they should be getting Pierre-Luc Dubois, I believe they said, Tuesday this week, which is going to help their offense. Because this is an offense that has not had Patrick Laine other than the first game of the year before the trade, and Jack Roslovic didn't play at all this year for them. He sat out, so that's where they're sitting. Edmonton, I mean, they're minus 3 differential. Their defense needs some help. They're definitely missing Oscar Klefbom. If they had him, I think they'd be far better than they have been so far. Well, I wouldn't say far better, but they'd be at least a little bit better. The differential would probably not be in the minus. Vancouver, I don't know what the heck's going on with them. They just are not playing in front of their goalies right now at all. Their defense is lacking big time. They're really missing Tanev, evidently. Although he hasn't made a huge difference for Calgary, but Calgary has played less games than them, so by like 4 games. I don't know how Vancouver's played 15 and no one else is that close to them. Edmonton's the closest with 13. So that's how that division is. Let's check out the Mass Mutual East Division. The Boston Bruins and the Philadelphia Flyers are technically tied for the lead in this division, but because Philadelphia has played 2 more games than Boston, they are in second place. That is how tiebreaks work. But Boston 8-1-2, Philadelphia 8-3-2. Boston has lost 1 regulation game, and they have looked pretty dang good ever since Pastrnak has come back. He has been a beast ever since he came back, honestly. And that first line of him, Marchand, and Bergeron have been unstoppable, honestly. So they're probably going to improve at this point, and they weren't doing that bad to begin with. Tuukka Rask has been doing really good, so hopefully he keeps doing that. Hopefully his family stays healthy so he stays with them. At this point, the worst teams in this division is a 4-way tie between New Jersey, New York Islanders, New York Rangers, and Buffalo. And New Jersey has played the least with 9 games, but they aren't going to be playing for at least another week. So they're going to be falling behind here pretty soon. And I still think they're going to finish last in this division, but honestly, they were playing better than I had expected up to this point, honestly. Rangers have been playing below what I thought they could. Islanders been pretty much about where I expected them to be. And Buffalo, about where I expected them to be. Pittsburgh's been playing better than I thought, but they're still a 500 team. But they have the games in hand advantage, so they've got more points because of that. I mean, every team other than 3 in this division is at least a -1 in the differential. The Rangers, who are the second worst team as of right where they sit because of row, and also because of regulation wins, is basically because they do have 1 more goal than goals against. But that's because, honestly, I think they've been improving. And hopefully they keep improving, because I think they still will make it into those playoffs if they keep doing what they're doing. Because they're only 1 point out of the 4th place spot. I mean, it's not like Pittsburgh's safe where they are. They're 1 point ahead of 4 teams for that 4th place spot. Washington is, I'd say, a steady 3rd place team right now. I still think they may push Philly back, but Philly kind of embarrassed them today. 7-4, sorry. So I think that this division is going to be close towards the top, but from 4th place down is going to be a crapshoot. Because Pittsburgh hasn't exactly been wowing people. Crosby and Malkin have been kind of invisible at times. So, I mean, they have a -8 differential. And they also have a lot of injuries on the back end, so that does not help. And DeSmith and Jerry have not been playing the way they did last year, so... But that's also probably because they have a lot of young guys in front of them. So I think Boston may be able to pull this out in this division, honestly. Because Washington has looked good, but while Ovechkin and a couple of the other guys were out, but I think it's starting to take a toll at the same time, because you can't expect those guys who were producing while they were gone to keep producing at that pace, especially when you take away their time. Now Ovechkin's back, and you still got Kuznetsov to come back, Varlamov to come back. I mean, Vanacek has been playing out of this world for them while they've been out. So, hopefully they can keep going. Right now they're sitting at -1 differential. They need to work on their defense for dang sure. Because, I mean, at this point, they've allowed almost 2 times as many goals as New Jersey, as the Islanders, as the Rangers. So, I mean, they've allowed 45 goals to New Jersey's 26, Islanders 27, and the Rangers 28. Even Buffalo's only allowed 32, Boston's allowed 24, Philadelphia has allowed 41 goals, and so has Pittsburgh. It's amazing that Pittsburgh's only scored 33 goals in 11 games. That's just incredible to me, but that is where the Mutual East stands. Boston and Philly at the top, Washington 3rd, Pittsburgh 4th as of now, and then going down the road, New Jersey, the Islanders, the Rangers, and then Buffalo. But all 4 are tied. So that's where we sit. I think this division is going to have a lot of change here pretty quick. I mean, like I said, New Jersey and Buffalo are out for a week. So they're going to be at the bottom here pretty soon, because I'm sure the Islanders and Rangers will sneak out some points in there. So we'll see where this ends up, but that's where it's at now. Then onto the Discover Central. By the way, all these divisions have a sponsor's name at the beginning. That is why you're seeing all the different names. But I still find it weird, but that's just how it is because of the new way they're doing sponsorships. So, it is what it is, just like all the sponsors on the helmets now. I don't like the look, but it is what it is. It's not like we can really change that because they need to make money as best as they can right now. And if that's the way they're doing it to make up lost revenue from the arenas, then that's what they gotta do. Alright, on to the Central, which is led by Tampa, who has missed quite a few games so far due to other teams, not themselves. I mean, Carolina, Dallas, they both have been out, and that's where they've lost some games. And Florida, the same exact thing. So the two Florida teams have had the advantage of getting breaks and more practice time. So they may be probably the two best teams at this point. I mean, Florida only lost their first regulation game today. So they're actually doing better than what I thought. I did not expect Florida to be this good. I had picked them to be, I think, the second worst in this division. I'm shocked, honestly. I really am. I'm glad they're doing good. Because I've lived in Florida. I'd like to see the Florida teams doing good. So it's nice to see. They probably still won't attract anybody in the stadium, sorry to say, but it's the reality. It's like the Miami Marlins back, or they're Miami Marlins now, but the Marlins back when they won 2 championships, they still couldn't put people in the stadium for baseball. And it's like, you're winning championships and you can't even fill the stadium. I mean, when the Panthers made the finals that year in 94? Yeah, 94. No, 95. 94, 95. Against Colorado. I mean, yeah, they were swept those finals, but there was people in that. That thing was full every night. Magical run, by the way. Amazing to watch. John Van Riesbroek in net. Love that Panther helmet they had back then. That was a great helmet. Always wanted that thing. But your first place team right now is Tampa. Plus 14 differential, 15 points, 7-1-1. Definitely the best team in this division. I have no doubt they're going to finish at the top. Carolina is a close second, though. Plus 8 differential. They've allowed more goals, 6 more goals to be exact, than Tampa has, but they scored the same amount. I mean, Tampa definitely is missing Kucherov. That would definitely help their offense, but they're still doing really well without him. And Carolina, now they're healthy again, out of COVID protocols, they're playing really well. They're 7-2-0. 14 points, 1 point behind Tampa. They're tied with Florida, who is 6-1-2, with a plus 3 goal differential. Then next is Chicago. Originally I picked them to be second worst. Then I picked them to be last. But they actually have been playing decently well. I mean, they're sitting 5-4-4, minus 3 differential, not that bad. I mean, when you compare it to Detroit's minus 18, definitely not that bad. And I honestly think that Detroit will finish last in this division. I don't think anybody can deny that anymore. Because at this point, they are 6 points behind Chicago, and I don't see much of a chance of them catching up. They have not played well enough. I think Columbus will sneak past them, though, because especially now with Laine playing well, Roslovic playing really well for Columbus thus far, I think that's going to help their offense. They're sitting at minus 7 differential, but I think that'll end up being a positive here soon enough. I mean, they still got Kings to work out, as today's game showed, 6-5 loss to Carolina, but I think they will be in that 4th spot. And I don't think Florida's going to finish in the top 4. I still don't, because I think Dallas will, because Dallas is playing catch-up as well, but they play the same amount of games as Florida. But they're only 2 points back of Florida at the same time, with a plus 10 differential in goals. Yeah, last couple of games, the goals have been hard to come by, and they've been losing, I think, 1-goal games the last 2. So, I think they'll be in there. I don't think Chicago can keep it up. I'm not sure if Florida could. I mean, thus far I've been surprised by them. Maybe they do. Maybe Columbus gets knocked out of this thing and doesn't make it. Nashville has been a huge disappointment. I think Matt Duchene has 0 goals still. For what they're paying him, he needs to start scoring some freaking goals. Because that's just embarrassing. I mean, if you're a Nashville fan, you got to be irritated by that. That's just ridiculous. I mean, I don't think Ryan Johansson has one. If he does, he has only one. He has not played up to par. I know he's hurt now, so he's a little bit more of an excuse, but still, they have not played up to par up to this point. Detroit, Bobby Ryan was amazing to start the season. He's kind of slowed down, but he's still getting a point here and there. But they just cannot get any offense. I mean, look at that differential, minus 18. I feel bad for Thomas Greiss, of anybody. I think they'll end up trading Greiss, honestly. If there's trades at all, we'll see. I'm not sure there'll be many, if any, but there are teams looking for goalies, and that might be a good option because Detroit could probably get something for him. He's played well enough to get wins, it's just they won't score in front of him. Today was his first win. I feel bad for the guy, I really do. But anyways, this division is definitely going to be between Tampa and Carolina and probably Dallas for the top. Florida, maybe they'll surprise. I mean, at this point, Chicago and Florida have been the biggest surprises in this whole league. I mean, Nashville's a surprise, but not for a good reason. Alright, so let's move on to the last division, the Honda West division. This one, Vegas is at the top, but they lost some games. Them and Colorado because of COVID protocols. Minnesota is as well. I mean, Vegas has just come back. They played 2 games since they came back from protocol. They're 7-1-1 still. Top of the division, but they are tied with Colorado and St. Louis. St. Louis has been kind of hit and miss in their games. That's why their goal differential is a +1. I still think they're going to be the third best team in this division. But the way they're playing, I don't see them being much of a threat to those top 2 teams, barring injury or COVID shutting them down. But at this point, Vegas is probably the best team. But that's only because they played less games at this point. And they haven't played against Colorado. They haven't played against San Jose. I'm not sure. I don't think they played against Minnesota yet. I know they played Anaheim. I know they played St. Louis. I know they played Arizona. And they just finished a series with LA. They have one extra game in there. Who's that against? Did they play Colorado? I don't know. But right now, Vegas, Colorado, and Colorado and Minnesota are on protocol for a week. A little bit less than a week now for both of them, but it's still like 5 days. So we won't see them for the next probably week until next weekend at the earliest, I believe it is. So hopefully we'll get them back, everybody healthy. I know Minnesota's Marco Rossi is out for an extended period because he's having complications from COVID. So hopefully he gets better and gets back in there soon enough. Right now, 3 teams in this division are a minus in the differential. Anaheim, who is amazingly the 4th best team in this division. Don't understand it, but that's where it is. San Jose is also a -9. And LA is a -7. Minnesota and Arizona are even 30 goals, 30 against each. Colorado's a +14. That's not surprising. I mean, the best offense in this league. I don't think anybody can argue that. I mean, they definitely have the most explosive offense, but they also don't have the greatest of defenses. They have a decently good defense. Their goaltending, I wouldn't say I'd say their defense is good. Not great, but good. Their goaltending is good as well. They might be better served to get if Francouz or Grubauer go down for extended injury at any point, they might be better off picking up a goalie. They need somebody who can win those games. Grubauer has done it. I'm not doubting Grubauer's ability. I think he is a good goalie, but let's just say, I don't think this is going to happen, but let's just say for some reason Anaheim trades them John Gibson. Can you imagine John Gibson on Colorado with that offense, that goalie, and their defense still being good? Even if they gave up a good forward for him or a good young defender, they'd still be a ridiculously good team for the foreseeable future. It wouldn't matter. I mean, with Gibson in net, they'd be unstoppable. I mean, how would they lose at that point? That's just an example. Anaheim would be stupid to trade him away and trade him to someone like Colorado nonetheless. But still, if that were to happen, Colorado would be unstoppable. I don't think they'd lose many, if any, games at that point, barring injury, of course. But I know they're missing McKinnon now week to week, but I think definitely the COVID protocols is going to help them soften that blow, because hopefully he can be close to getting back by the time they get out of protocol. Hopefully. Because them without him for an extended period could become really painful, but they still have a dang good offense even without him. So, I don't think it's going to affect them that much, honestly, and that's one of, if not the best player in this league right now. So, alright. So, anyways, this division is tied between those top three teams that we expected to be at the top. Vegas, followed by Colorado, followed by St. Louis. I think Vegas is going to take a lead here pretty quick, because Colorado is going to be out for a little while. But I still think Colorado is going to finish first in this division. I don't see them not finishing first. But maybe with that McKinnon injury, maybe they will finish not first, but second. And St. Louis, I think, will still be third. I still think it's a crapshoot as to who gets that last fourth place spot. Right now it's Anaheim. They have not played well enough to be in that spot. I'm sorry. I know it's my favorite team, but excuse me. But they have not played well enough to deserve that, honestly. Right now they have a 25 goals for. Ridiculously terrible. I mean, who's the next worst? San Jose with 28? Let's see. Oh no, actually Detroit has 26. Oh wow, New Jersey only has 23. That's due to the Islanders. Holy cow. I thought the Ducks were the worst. Nope. Still not good. But anyways, Anaheim has not played well enough. I mean, 34 goals against to 25 goals for -9. Tied for the worst in this division. Yet they are in 4th place. By 1 point over Minnesota, who's going to be out for a little bit. Arizona is 2 points back. San Jose is 4 points back. And LA is 5 points back. LA is the worst team as of now. And honestly, I'm not surprised. I think that winning streak they had towards the end of last year was more to do with nobody knew about any of these young guys who came into the lineup, and they just pushed their way in and just dominated because nobody expected them or knew who they were. But I think people have gotten used to them, and I think it's shown so far. I mean, they are going to be towards the bottom. San Jose has shown flashes of being a good team, but they have not done it consistently. Neither of their goalies are above 900 in save percentage. Both of them are in the 3 or higher goals against average. They do not have the goaltending. They do not have the defensive depth or defensive ability. Honestly, their best defender is Radim Simic, who's been playing 5th, 6th defender, sometimes 4th. I mean, Brent Burns, he's a great offensive defender, as is Erik Karlsson, but neither are spectacular on the defensive side. They honestly both make massive mistakes. Erik Karlsson, before that Achilles cut that he had with Ottawa, was a very good defender. He just, because of that injury, he has not, at least that's one I view as what caused the problem. He has not had the foot speed to keep up with people anymore. And you can see it. People just blow by him nowadays. It's not even close anymore. I mean, he's not that old. He's 29, I think, which is the prime of a defender's career. Where Burns is 36, going on 37, I believe it is. He's going to have starting a downturn. And I thought it was kind of funny that the last game against the Ducks, the Sharks announcer, Randy Hahn, said that Brent Burns needs to have a big game. He's had no big offensive games this year. He had a 4-point game against Minnesota earlier this year. How's that not a good enough game for you? I mean, what do you expect from this man? You expect him to score 8 points a night? I mean, a 4-point game is good for anybody. But I just found that funny. I'm sorry. Arizona has... They're without Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who drives their offense and drives their defense. Honestly, they've played well without him. I've been kind of surprised. But they still have not... They don't have the offensive ability. Minnesota, I've been kind of surprised. They started out really good. Then they've kind of floundered the last few games. Which, by the way, they're out for next week as well. So you're going to see them dip down in these standings, I have a feeling. So, that's where we stand with all the divisions. Pretty much most of them are the teams you expect, other than maybe that Central, but that one was kind of a crapshoot. because they have a lot of good teams, but a lot of up-and-coming teams that are not exactly ready to take that big step, but they're still kind of in the mix, and that's why you see those ties all throughout that division. New Jersey has honestly surprised me the most out of that division, them and Florida. But mostly, other than that, it's been kind of what most people expected. But there have been a lot of injuries so far. If you haven't seen the injury list, go look at it. Go to rotoworld.com and check out the injury report list. It is ridiculous to see the extent of the injuries. I think, honestly, at this point, only San Jose has no injuries. That is the only team without a single injury. That is ridiculous. You look at the New Jersey list, you got like 19 guys on COVID protocol. You can see why they're not playing at the moment. So, anyways, that's where we stand. If your team's doing good, congratulations. If your team is surprising, like honestly at this point my team, the Ducks, I'm kind of surprised they're 4th place. I don't think they'll finish there. I think they need that lottery pick, even if they skip this year and do 2 drafts next year. Get a good pick next year. And their young guys just have not stood up other than these last 2 games against San Jose. That's really the first time the young guys have really done anything. Just saying. Anyways, if your team's doing mediocre, that's fine because you still have a chance to sneak in there. If your team's doing terrible, I don't know what to tell you. Other than if it was expected, at least you're where you expected to be. I expect the Ducks to do worse than they did, but they've done well. Good on Gibson, because he's pretty much won most of those wins. At least 5 of their 5. Anyways, no, actually Miller got one yesterday. Technically 4 of the 5. There we go. Anyways, thank you everybody for watching. If you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. I'm going to be doing a stats video probably tomorrow. See who's leading in the goals, assists, points races. See who's winning the goalie categories. And other than that, I'll be doing my daily reviews of the games. And I will see you all next video. Make sure to comment, like, share, and I will see you all later. Bye, everybody.